What's up, guys? We are working on the MR2 again.
I was driving my car at an autocross event, and on this right-hand corner, I was hearing this slight clinking from the back-end suspension, so I want to double-check that everything's okay. Here, I am inspecting the rear passenger side of the car, and I started by just doing a visual, then shaking everything to see if there's anything that was notably loose or that had been scraping. Everything checked out there, so then I switched over to double checking that all the bolts and everything like that were still nice and snug. Everything was. I looked over the passenger side, which ended up having two problems. The first one was that the locking collar for the coilover had come loose. After double checking that the measurements on the coilover were still the same, I snugged down that locking collar. The second issue is that the coilover on the driver's side had been barely scraping the chassis. I thought the crash bolts may have slipped, so I threw on my angle gauge here to double check, but the settings were right where I'd left them. I realized I wasn't going to be able to run the camber that I had been running, given the top hat and coilover setup that I'm running. I had a couple different options here, so I could have just pulled out the hammer to make more room for the coilover. I also considered just snagging some parts from this car. I've been spending a lot of time in the shop and I really want to focus on seat time, so I decided to just take a simpler route and revisit this in the winter. The simple route is actually just taking camber out of the car, and that's really easy to do on this. All I have to do is loosen up those crash bolts. That allows me to move the knuckle in and out. Because of the setup that I have, I actually just pulled the hub out to put it to the most positive setting, and that's still going to net me about negative 1.5 degrees of camber. I did the same thing on the other side, and the settings ended up being similar. The big thing, though, is I got the clearance I needed, so I shouldn't have any more contact. The adjustments I made really aren't ideal from a performance perspective, but that's okay because it's going to get me out back on the track even quicker. I will need to double check and likely adjust the toe, but after that, she'll be ready to hit the track again.